What is up, family? It is officially 2024. That's absolutely crazy to say, but that means that the Casually Ambitious Performance Club is almost here. What the heck is this club you speak of? You may be asking yourself. That's a great question. This is a coaching program for high-performing individuals. Whether you're a former athlete, weekend warrior, or just want to do some hard shit, this program may be for you. It's a hybrid training style with a high volume of running and a lot of lifting. It comes with half, full, and ultra marathon plans, a full strength training program to complement the runs, diet and nutrition programming for every single meal, and mindset modules to help get your mind right to be the best version of you across the board. This is perfect for somebody looking to PR their next marathon, run 100 miles, or maybe just become an all-around beast of an athlete. The program officially launches January 29, but you can sign up for the email updates and more info at the link in my Instagram bio or in the show notes. I will see you there. Welcome visionaries, dreamers, and trailblazers to the Casually Ambitious podcast. I'm your host, Chase Price, and I am thrilled to embark on this journey with you. Here, we dive deep into the realms of wellness, entrepreneurship, and mindset. Let's build a life we love while loving the life we live. The adventure to a more mindful, purposeful, and casually ambitious life starts now. I'm well, brother. How are you?
Good. Just got back from a run. Just had a bagel with some peanut butter jam. Waiting for my coffee after this. Got some plans later today. It's a good day. What about you?
Let's go, man. Well, it's a little bit earlier for you, right? So I guess you're 3 hours behind. So what is it, 11 a.m. there?
Yeah, it's 11:02 here. So yeah,
Okay.
just the start of the day. Where are you at?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, sweet. Tell me about it. I've never been to Charlotte.
Charlotte, man, Charlotte's a really cool city. It's up and coming city. Very mild climate compared to what you're used to up there. It's funny because I complain about the winters here.
Yeah.
Super mild, like it'll get down to the 30s every once in a while. We'll get like one snow a year. But I'm somebody who just craves the heat. I'm trying to get
Yeah.
down to Florida. I'm trying to go down to San Diego, SoCal, and find and move there eventually. So I'm a Sally when it comes to the cold,
Yeah.
especially talking to you. So I feel bad saying that, but
Dude,
we get a little
funny.
bit of everything here. So
It's funny going to Austin and everything and meeting a lot of people from like down south, and like obviously the hybrid athlete space is really heavy in Austin. And it's like here in about a month time, we're not going to be able to run outside. So we're just trying to get all the runs in. But yeah, it's going to be crazy because I go down to Florida to do a race. So it's going to be like a lot hotter down there. So it's going to be cool how I do and like accumulate to it. But
yeah, when is that?
November 4th. So it's literally a month away today. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice, bro. So it's probably already pretty chilly up there, right? Right about now, is it? Or is it like perfect for training?
I'd say it's really perfect for training because in the mornings it's like 12 to 15 degrees. So you can get your like heart rate low, and it can't really go higher past like 170 on like a tempo workout. But then when it's midsummer, it's like 35 to 40 degrees here. So you have to go before 7 a.m. or your heart rate's just going to be through the roof, probably like anywhere down south. But yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, I'm so excited to have you on, Blake. And this is a little bit unique because I usually have a little bit of rapport with my guests coming in. Me and you have never talked. So
Yeah.
this is pretty exciting to dive into this with you. And I got linked up with your content and connected with you through BPN, another BPN homie, right?
Nice.
And so you have partnered with BPN, and we'll get into that with Hacks Club and all this. But you're a founder, you're a triathlete, you're all these things. And also an ex-hockey player. So it sounds like it kind of hockey was your introduction to sports, and by way of hockey, eventually endurance sports. So I'd love to hear kind of your come up as a hockey player and how that led you to endurance sports.
Yeah, first off, I want to thank you for having me on. Like, obviously, yeah, but usually in podcasts, we like chat and like, okay, this is how it's going to work. But I like this style. I feel like anyone listening to this, it'll be like, oh, this is them. This isn't like I have no clue what these questions are. So I love this. Okay, so starting off as a kid, like growing up, I was always a big hockey guy, and just everyone I was surrounded with, like my dad played hockey, a bunch of my friends played hockey. I think if you ask any Canadian kid, they were introduced to hockey or they played it for a bit. So I was playing hockey pretty much my whole entire life up to about 2.5 years ago after COVID, because COVID just messed hockey up when I moved across the country to play. And then I just didn't see myself moving forward after COVID. I kind of lost the love of the game, I feel like. And then after that happened, I started doing digital marketing. I gave myself a summer to do digital marketing or go back to school. So I started a digital marketing agency that was doing really well. And then I didn't go back to school and just continued with that for a year. And that's when I started running, because I needed a competitive outlet. I didn't want to just go in the gym and lift and have no goal, have no date, have no game day like I feel like I did when I was playing hockey and a lot of kids did playing soccer or football. Because we train and we practice with our team for a game, and that's, I feel like, what drives the motivation. But now when I'm out of the sport, I'm training in the gym, but it's like I don't have to make a team this year. I don't have to do this or do that. So I feel like I lost myself a bit for about
Yep.
3 weeks, and then I started to run again, or just started to run and like couldn't run even 4 minutes. I didn't. It was funny because now a bunch of my athletes, we talk about zone 2 and zones and running and knowing how to do that. But when I was starting out, had no clue what zones were. I just go for a run. Okay, let's try to beat my last time. And I feel like everyone has that same progression. Um, but yeah, that's when I got into running. Did a marathon about 3 months after. No clue what a marathon was. I was just like, this is the furthest, so let's try to do this. 3 months after, ran that, and then after that, I was like, let's try to do something else, and then signed up for an Ironman 70.3, and then now we're here today. And yeah, just a bunch of races under my belt, and now just continue to get faster and coach people to do that and get them out of that kind of mindset after their sport, which I find a lot of people are getting out of their sports and wanting something to dive into, like running marathons, like you doing, like sub 3 hour marathons, like a crazy person. But yeah, I really appreciate it here. But yeah.
Yeah, man. So I feel like so you said you started running and then you ran a marathon within 3, 4 months.
Yeah, it was actually, I started running in June. I did a marathon September too. So it
Wow.
was like,
So yeah,
yeah,
that progression is so quick. I feel like usually people are like, all right, let me do a 5K, then I'll do a 10K. Okay, I did a half. Now I think I might be easing up. What led you to just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna send it. I'm doing a marathon in 3, 4 months.
okay. In my mindset, I tell all my athletes this, the same exact mindset. We're gonna sign up for a race and we'll figure it out.
I
Like,
love
no,
it.
you can't do a marathon today. Like a lot of people that we get on a call with, it's like, no, I'm not going to be able to do a Ironman. No, today you're not. Today you're not, but a year down the line you will. It's scary as shit, and I know that. I think it's scary to anyone signing up for their first race or their first like long distance race. But yeah, I just said let's do it. I'm gonna do it. Like if I don't do it, whatever. But I'm gonna figure it out. And yeah, I actually like looking back at the times because I know about times now. It's a lot. It's like impressive. I feel like for a 3 month progression to do that. But now I say what you just said there, like a 5K, 10K, half,
Hmm.
and then a marathon. I feel like it's definitely a more conservative approach than just sign up for a marathon. Let's go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I love that mentality that you're talking about too, because I did the same thing with my 100. And I feel like anybody doing ultra running is kind of that same way of like, all right, maybe you have ran a marathon. For me, I hadn't even run a marathon before I signed up for 100. I signed up for a
Mm-hmm.
hundred first, and then I was like, all right, let me go get a marathon. Let me do some training and led up to it. But
Yeah.
it's like let's commit, let's sign up, and then we'll figure the shit out as we go. And you always do, man. Like you'll pick up, ideally you pick up a coach along the way, right? Because you're like,
Mm-hmm.
shit, I'm training stupid. I don't know how to fuel. I don't know how to hydrate. I don't know how to do these basic things. I don't know how to work through heart rate. I don't even know what zone 2 is.
Yeah.
These simple
Yeah.
things that are such a baseline and a core of what we do on a daily basis. But when we're first getting started, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So
How did
it's
you how did you like get into the 100 miler like from the marathon?
so I signed up for the 100. I guess it was probably April or May of 2022, and I signed up for 100 in March of 2023. So I had 11 months, 12 months to prep for it. And that just came about from me and my buddy just kind of shooting the shit and being like,
Mm-hmm.
we should run 100, dude. And we didn't even realize that there was that many organized races that were 100 miles. Like,
Yeah.
obviously now I'm in the ecosystem, and I know that there's tons of 100-mile races because there's a ton of crazy people that are willing to do it. But at the
Yeah.
time I didn't know anything about it. So I was like, all right, let's we could do we were thinking we were going to do one that was unstructured, that didn't have aid stations. We were like, all right, we'll just have our friends and family kind of crew us. We're like, can we do a North Carolina to South Carolina or something like that? So that started the idea, but it was just the sense of thinking bigger, man. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what connects so many of us in this ecosystem, is just
Yeah.
like that bigger thinking and saying these goals like, fuck, I don't know if I can do it, but we're going to find out, and we're going to push
Mm-hmm.
the limit along the way,
Yeah, that's what I love, and I feel like it's like all of us that haven't been in it, but now we enter it, and it's like, is this world getting bigger, or are we entering this world and we're connecting with more individuals? I feel like it's like somewhat of both,
It's
because
somewhat
like,
of both, and it's definitely getting bigger in the hybrid space, which you're in heavy, right?
yeah, 100%. Like all my buddies that are out of hockey or out of soccer, out of the sports they're in, they want to they want to lift still, they want to still be active, but they also still want to like push themselves in a endurance aspect or cardio aspect. Because I mean, like, no one loves to go on the stepper for 10 minutes or 30 minutes after a workout, but in my mindset, it's like, okay, we'll have a goal for a half or a 5K or 10K. So I find that it's really beneficial for post athletes after their sport to kind of get into and kind of have a team again, because it is really sad. It is for sure. Like, you don't have any teammates anymore. You're not so into like a team, but now there's a team, and yeah, we're spread out all over the world. But it's really cool to have that environment again.
The community, man. Yep, it's so huge. It's so important, even for runners, that it's a solo sport, but to have a community is so important so that you don't burn out. And that is something I wanted to ask you about. Was so we hear about people burning out with triathlete training, with running ultras. I mean, they're just kind of hitting it every single day, and they just get tired of it. For you, with the hockey thing, where was the stem of that burnout? Like, what kind of caused that you to fall out of love with it? Because typically it is burnout, and it's doing the repetitive thing over and over and over again, and you're kind of, every single time you go back at it, you lose a little bit of joy, a little bit of joy. And I'm curious your story with kind of falling out of love with the hockey as well.
Yeah, so I think this correlates exactly to what we're doing and what we have been talking about, because it was during COVID when we had a 3 month break and we didn't know if the rest of the season was going to happen, because I was playing in Okotoks, Alberta, just south of Calgary. So then I had to go home for about 3 months from start of December to like end of January. So like really cold months. We weren't practicing. We didn't have a team. We didn't have a game. We didn't have a date. So we were just
Going through the motions.
and at the outdoor rink. Like, it was minus 30 degrees. And it was like, I hate this. I really do hate this. But now looking back at it, like, if COVID didn't happen, I think I definitely still would have been playing, I feel like, because I still would have had that date. I still would have been driven towards hockey. But it's just like situations. You have to kind of make a decision. I didn't know if COVID was going to happen next season or the next season was going to be canceled. So I was just like, let's move on. We're going to make this decision and move on. It's insane. I feel like the people that reach out and say, I'm looking to quit this sport, I'm scared. This is my whole identity. I've been doing this since I was 13 years old or 3 years old. So I want to move on, but how do I do it? And I just say, this is a tough decision. It will be a big decision, but in the end of the day, you're going to have to make a decision and just choose that decision. Don't look back, because once you're going down this path, just go down this path and go with 100%. Because if you keep looking back, you're going to be kind of tentative. You'll be like in between paths, but then looking at the positives and the benefits, or the positives and the negatives, and then kind of choosing the route that you want to choose, because it is hard. Like any decision, transitions, not even in sports, but like life, relationships, school, picking a job, quitting something that you don't want. Maybe you're in a negative relationship towards yourself, and it's just like, how do I switch this? So, yeah, that's where I think I got myself into this kind of world from hockey. But yeah.
Yep. And you have to burn the ships at the shore is what I like to say. And I get this question a lot too because I'm in the creative space. My business that I own is a creative agency, so we're creating content. But I come across a bunch of guys that are like, I'm halfway in, I'm halfway out. I want to be a full-time creative, and it's risky advice to say burn the ships at the shore and go all in, but I truly believe it's the fastest way to get where you want to go. And typically, these guys, they don't have a safety net, but they don't necessarily need one because they're not too tied down. They're typically not, they don't have a family or they don't have all these things holding them back. So I feel like the sooner you can rip the Band-Aid off in these instances is typically the better. When you already know, like, in your soul, you don't want to say it. And maybe you've never even said it out loud, but you're like, in the back of your head, you're like, I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of on to the next thing, right? So I think that's a good segue and transition into the next thing I want to talk about, which is kind of your entrepreneurial journey. It seems like you are somebody who's always had an entrepreneurial bug. I saw a post where you're like, I used to shovel snow when I was 5. I was flipping Jordans. I was building fences. I was doing all this. Was entrepreneurship something that you always innately had, or is this something you picked up maybe from your family or your dad or anything like that?
I think it's the combination of both. I think I was introduced to it because my mom and dad, they did both run a business back home. So from a outsider's perspective, like, yeah, that's where I got it from. At the time, had no clue I was kind of into this world. But the literal first time that I got this bug was when I bought a pair of Jordans. It was like Jordan 4 Toros or white cements or whatever for like $150, like way below market value. And then I look at them online and they're like $400. So, oh, I could make 250 from that. Okay, do that. And then with that 400, buy 2 more pairs and flip that and flip that. So that's that. I was like 12 years old. It's funny because we would just go on like a marketplace, buy them, and my dad would be like across the street.
Back to the pod in just a second, but hey, you've been putting it off too long. It's 2024 and time to get your nutrition dialed in. If you don't know where to start, I'll help you out. Flex Pro meals. I've been using Flex Pro for the past 4 or 5 months and honestly have been blown away. Check this out. Very important tip. When you order, choose the by the pound option. That's what I use. That way I can just handpick my protein, veggie, and carb just the way I want it. They have next day delivery options. Who does that? And a ton of options to get your diet cleaned up for the new year. For a limited time, you can use code CPRICE for 40% off your first order. Now, back to the pod.
We'd go to like the local 7-Eleven, meet up with a 30 to 40-year-old, and there's this 12, 13-year-old selling a $500 pairs of shoes. So that's kind of where it started. And I was just like hungry for like a job or like hustling as a kid, like for shoveling or whatever that was. But then I worked at a golf course, cleaning clubs and like doing that sort of thing. And I was always doing online fitness stuff. Like I started at 14 years old, but I was never into it fully. Like I was just doing it. It's cool. Like people at school like loved it. We were always like doing videos and stuff. So it was like kind of cool. But after that, it just kind of took off once my TikTok kind of jumped. And then I started to get into digital marketing. And then I was like, hey, I can make this into potentially a full-time job. And that set me up for success in what I want to do. So yeah, now I'm here. But yeah, I think it fully goes back to my parents and just saying, yeah, you can do that. No, you're not going to fail. Just try it. If you fail, you fail. You know, you can still move on. So I'm really grateful that they kind of set that in me because I know that I have that today. And yeah.
Yeah. I love talking with entrepreneur athletes because there's always a unique story, but there's usually always an aspect of creativity that comes into it and like documenting the process and pushing through that. So what kind of, I follow you now. I've been following you for probably half a year to 8 months now. I know what you're posting on IG. I'm not on TikTok? Is it the same type things you're posting on TikTok, and has it always been the same type thing that you've been posting in order to gain that audience?
I think uh, it's mostly like hybrid athlete stuff right now and Ironman stuff right now. But before it was just like me and buddies just fooling around in the hockey dressing room and like fooling around just doing like the classic TikTok things. I don't know. When I look back, it's yeah, it's super cringy, but yeah. But then yeah, now it's totally like coaching and hybrid athlete stuff. So I really just want to create a community and just create connections like this one through this community and see where it goes. Because I feel like social media, I don't think people realize how much of a difference it can make in their lives to connect with people and get an athlete from the Netherlands or Australia and talk with them and train them. I don't think that's ever happened in this in all of our generations in the past like 20 years. So I'm just trying to take advantage of that and see where it goes.
Yeah, I'd love for you to speak to that a little bit more as far as like, you got to be willing to be a little bit cringy at first, especially when you're kind of still finding your lane, because there's just so much benefit and so much that comes along with building an audience. And you're establishing these connections, which you can leverage for business purposes, but also for the sake of having conversation and connecting and figuring out these connections that take you places you never could have been before. So, one way I've talked about in the past is like being afraid of pushing the red button, and that's the record button, but also the post button, and just getting the fuck over that as soon as you can, because the sooner you can get over that, the sooner you can start, like leaning into what it is and finding what it is that you want to do. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's just not putting a big emphasis on what other people think you. I think now in this world, we fully do think about other people, about what we're giving off of our perception to other people. But then online, just looking at who you want to target, who you want to be as a person, who do you want to come off as, whether that be like an athlete, motivational, like a producer, like a podcaster, like anything like that, and just go with it and know that you can still have your internal values put out there. You don't have to go too beyond your character to like gain views. Just be yourself. You don't have to do like crazy stuff. I feel like at the start of my YouTube journey, like I hired a producer and a videographer, and then I was making these videos, and then I look at it and I'm like, this is not me. This is not me, and I just wasn't liking that at all. So that's when I kind of shied away from that. And it's grown way bigger now that it's me and it's authentic because it's more consistent. You're more passionate about it. You're more confident to just be yourself rather than being someone who you're not. And I think that'll take it. I think people will see that. I think people will see that you're authentic and genuine and talk about the stuff that's going wrong in your life and be authentic, and just continue that way.
Bro, I did the same thing. I got started and I was like, I need a videographer to go with me to the track and shoot some content and all this. And I'm like, the videos, yeah, the quality's better, but the
No
messaging
one
is worse.
cares.
No one
Yeah.
cares. Like there's so many people that like can pay a videographer to come shoot them, and but without the why behind it and the purpose behind it, it just doesn't matter. It's just noise in the whole scheme of things. So I love that you mentioned that, and I want to move on to Hacks now, and tell me in your own words, like what is Hacks? What does it stand for? What is the brand about?
Hacks is an online fitness community that we all train together online. We all have a similar goal, but we're on different paths. So this is a hybrid athlete space. It stands for Hybrid Athlete X. I came up with that in August 2022. And it's just a safe space for anyone who wants to get into Ironmans, marathons, that gets to work. Because we're all really driven, and a lot of people that join this community say huge improvement in their motivation and their consistency because we are posting on our Strava group. You're seeing the other people run. You're seeing what they're doing. So now it's like, I'm part of this team. Now I'm part of this community. Now I'm going to run every day. Now I'm going to do this and follow my plan. But something I say to everyone is, like we're all in the same team, but we're different instruments. I'm an Ironman guy. There's a marathoner right there. There's someone who just lifts and runs. we can't compare ourselves with our times and everything, but we can still be a bit competitive with each other, but in a healthy way of still cheering each other on from the sidelines, and being there for each other, and just repping the hat. Like when anyone puts a Hacks hat on, knowing that people are behind them, knowing that people are working just as hard as them today across the world. Like we have a girl on, she's in the Navy in Norway and she works on cruise ships. So it's just so cool to have that kind of community across the world. And I think Hacks is just going to grow with time. It's already grown a bit, but I think just with consistency and continuing to show up, myself and all the other Hacks athletes out there, I think it's going to be cool to see what we can do.
What's been your biggest challenge of kind of getting Hacks off the ground? It's still fairly new. You guys are gaining a ton of traction. It's been awesome to see the growth since I saw it in the BPN community. What's been your biggest challenge with getting it launched and getting people into the community?
I think the biggest issue would be solving internal issues before we can get external people to join. Like before we have 100 more athletes, we have to work on the internal system so it's not a shit show behind the scenes, because I'd rather have it slowly and proper behind the scenes so everyone has a good experience. It's not too messy. So we don't ruin the experience. Even, yeah, okay, we can get 1,000 athletes and whatever. But if it's bad, if they have a bad experience, then they have an experience with that. It'd be like this, for example, if BPN got a bunch of customers really fast and they had the worst protein powder ever, they wouldn't come back. They wouldn't stay. So that's where I kind of look at it like that, and not rush the process of just allocating the internal systems and then getting them well laid out, so we can kind of move on forward in a healthy way.
I'm glad you mentioned BPN in your example there, because you guys did partner with BPN, and they are sponsors, I guess, of Hacks. I'm not exactly sure what the collaboration is, but speak to that a little bit. I mean, that had to be a huge moment for you, kind of coming from the ambassador program and then actually partnering up with them and everything. So how did that come to life?
That came to life. I just reached out to Adam Klink and I was like, I want to be a part of BPN. Like when I entered the ambassador program, and then I said, I have this athletic club. Like I think we're at 30 something athletes at the time, and I was like, this is where we're projected to go. This is how we're going to do it. And I want to be a part of BPN, and everyone at Hacks um, loves the products, and I do too, and I want to give them quality products. I want to offer them the products, and recommend them products. But it's like, if you want the BPM product, for sure, get that. But if you don't, yeah, there's other carb heavy sources. There's other protein powders, but this is what I use. This is what got me into this space. I would not be here if it weren't for Nick Bear's posting on YouTube, and just BPN being such a community sourced program. But yeah, I love their stuff, and I'm not going to stop taking it. I just got a brand new package in today because I just run through G1M Sport.
So I had Matt Johnson on the podcast yesterday. Are you familiar with Matt?
Oh yeah, Matt Johnson. Yeah. I met him at BPN. He taught me how to do a muscle up. We both got it the first day at the HQ.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
He's a beast. Yeah, he was on the pod yesterday, but he was saying how he learned how to fuel from Nick Bear and just watching Nick's YouTube videos. And it sounds like Nick had a huge influence on you as well. And I just love to see that. It all comes full circle, man. Like we all kind of came up watching Nick Bear's YouTube videos, and then we became ambassadors, and now we're starting to go and develop our own things and grow our own brands and stuff like that. And so it's so sick to kind of see that come full circle.
Yeah, it's fully full circle. And I've been watching Nick since I was 14, 15 years old, and that's what fully influenced me to create content. And then like him and like Christian Guzman, and like the OGs of fitness YouTube, and Will Tennyson, he's a beast too. But I think it all comes back to Nick Bear. Just watching his old videos, I used to go back to his brand new, like his oldest ones, and when he was in college and stuff, and he was like, we all start from somewhere, and that was a big decision that kind of led me to move on from hockey and kind of pursue this business and this lifestyle. So yeah, give it full credit to him for influencing me to do that. It's just cool to see how good of a person he is, and he's still a big business person. He's still growing a huge brand, and just showing up every day. I think that's relevant for anyone.
Yeah, he's the king of, yeah, so to speak, of hybrid training. A lot of people thought he coined that for a while. I don't think he did, but
Yeah, I
he's
wonder
been.
who did. I don't know who did, but
I don't know. It's worth looking into because it gets tossed around quite a bit nowadays, and I'm curious, what about hybrid training attracted you? And then, it seems like everybody kind of joining your program is there for this hybrid training capacity. They want to learn more about it. They want to see what everybody else is doing. Why is it so attractive to somebody who maybe was a multi-sport athlete, or maybe they're looking for their next phase of life? Like, why do you think it's hybrid for most people?
I think it's hybrid for most people because you don't get bored a lot. It's not the same repetitive stuff. And usually when I program the workouts, it is that workout for 1 week, and then you're only touching that workout the next week. So you have a full 7 days to get to that next workout, but we're going to have a next one the next day, and then a week after that. So it's kind of a cycle each week. And each week, obviously, the intervals change, the volume changes. But I think it's new. I think it could get really boring if you just do the same program without running and lifting. And the strength and the endurance, I think it works on a lot of stuff, and it teaches you a lot about yourself. And I think people get addicted to that because they see their self improve, and then they just don't want to stop that self growth journey that I think hybrid athlete training just promotes hugely.
If you're able to, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine too. But I'm curious about, how you've structured the business. And like, so it sounds like there's a community aspect, but there's also the coaching aspect. So I assume like you can join and just be in the community, or you can join and say, hey, Blake, I want you to personally one-on-one, like work with me, dial me in on my diet, my fitness. How exactly does it work?
So, like you hit the nail on the head, there's just one thing that we haven't fully got integrated yet is a community platform. Because right now it's solely I'm working with you one on one. So, say Chase, I was training you, but then you'd be connected with 90 other plus individuals that are training with me. So then that's the community. But then we're working on getting it so there is a community aspect, but then there's also like a coaching aspect with me, and then you get that as well. We're just working on that because I feel like that has to be more automated than like you have a coach. Now it's just a system, and then it has to be more automated, I feel like, but we just have to work on that more.
Got it. And what's your personal mentality around training and coaching? It could be one thing for you and how you train, and something totally different for the people that you're training because it's not resonating with them. So when you are working with somebody one on one, everybody's going to be different. So I guess you have to dial in individually. But what's your mindset when working with people and coaching them?
To have a good relationship, like we're just two people trying to be better. And yeah, I'm the coach. I'm gonna guide you. I'm gonna recommend you things, but I want you to input stuff into your training as well. If your volume isn't being as good as it has been, or you're feeling getting slower, tell me. Let's switch it. No, I'm not going to be a perfect coach for you in the first week. I don't know you. This is my first time jumping on a call with you, but a month down the road, 2 months down the road, as we chat more, as we know each other better, as we know your systems better, that's when we're going to progress in coaching. Um, I think there's never going to be a perfect from the get go, like coaching athlete relationship, but I want it to be a relationship. I don't want it to be like, I'm your coach. This is what to do. I want this to be a mutual connection where we're working together for a similar goal. I'm going to plan your workouts. I'm going to get you into the community. I'm going to help you with all this nutrition and stuff. But then for us, I want to be working together with you. And I just want this to be transparent. I don't want it to be like, I'm not going to tell my coach this because I don't trust him. No, I want you to tell everything to me. And if you don't enjoy this experience, that's okay. Not all coaching relationships work out, and that is totally fine. But I think I'm pretty open to anyone with anyone's goals or problems or issues with their running, biking, swimming, lifting. And I just want to move forward with that, with whoever has that drive to progress.
I like to ask people who do coaching, especially online coaching, man, because it's tough. It's tough to work remotely with somebody through some of their challenges, and you can't sit across the table with them and have a coffee and have a heart to heart and be like, let's get honest, because you're doing it potentially from a different country, right? Which is kind of crazy to think about. But foundationally, like, what's the biggest challenge with working with these clients remotely, and then what's the most rewarding aspect on the other side of that?
The biggest challenge I think would be to gain a mutual trust with each other. Because I mean, thinking about it, you got this coach from an Instagram video, from a TikTok video, from a YouTube video, and it's like, is this person even real? That's why a lot of people like ask to jump on calls with me before we actually get the process set up, and I think that's super fair because I'd want that too when I work with someone and pay them money for their coaching. But I think that's the biggest issue is gaining a mutual trust and knowing that I'm here to help you. Even though I post videos and you see me as like a person that works out on reels. But then hanging off of that, what do I see a really big benefit in is seeing people that gain more confidence just from this coaching, just from this programming, and feel something inside of them that they've never felt before, a confidence that they've never felt before. Because I know it's life changing for sure. Like we had a girl that was never on a team growing up. She never had a coach growing up, and she said to me, "You're my first coach ever." And that really hit me because yeah, I am a coach. Like for all the hockey coaches I had growing up, for all the coaches I had in other sports, you are a coach, you are a mentor, you are a leader, so you have to lead them in that way. And I think that just hit me really deeply. And I think from that day on, I've been really more dialed into it and knowing that I'm going to have an influence on this person's life, even if they're here for a year, a month, a week. I'm just going to do as much as I can to serve them in their training, their life, whatever it is. So I think it just drives me a lot, and I don't think that's going to go anywhere.
So you got the next race coming up in Florida. Is that kind of, talk to me about your breakdown of your block going into that? Like, when did you start training for that? Where are you at in training with all of that? And then anything else on the horizon besides Florida?
Yeah, so the training block, I want to go to Ironman Kona, like World Championships for a full. So that's why I'm doing this one. And if I don't do that one, I'm gonna plan the next one for that. But right now it's just focused on that. I'm working with a coach here locally in Kelowna. His name's Luke Way. Shout out to you because I've never had a triathlon coach. I've only had like online programs. And it's like, yeah, I'm a coach, shouldn't I have a coach too to see that experience and learn from that? And I'm like, yeah, this is making such a big difference in my training. Holding me more accountable and just having someone to talk to rather than going on Google and being like, I can't do this workout. What do I do? But he knows the answer. He's there for me. So shout out to you, Luke Way. But yeah, this training block, it's been really intense. It's been the most dedicated training I've ever done for a race. And I'm really feeling it in blocks and running, my heart rate, my efficiency. And then moving here, I've the biggest 2 weeks of this brick within the next 2 weeks here. So yeah, I have a long weekends, but this is what we're here for.
I love that you brought up that coaches should have coaches too, because I think that's a great indicator of who you should work with and what their intentions are. Like, do they really love this shit? Are they trying to get better themselves, or are they just trying to get a paycheck too? So that's something that I'm glad you brought up. Anything else you can kind of speak to on that? Because my running coach, Casey, she has a coach. She's trying to work for sub 3 towards her own personal goals and everything. And I love that. I can connect deeper with her because she's on her own journey, not just mine. And she can speak to some of my experiences through her own as well. And that's one thing I love about having that, not just accountability partner, but somebody to like work through these challenges with too.
Yeah, first of all, I love Casey Klein. She's a beast. Like, I met
Beast.
her at BPN HQ again, and I've no doubt she's going to do a sub 250 eventually. But yeah, shout out to her. But I think it just goes back to knowing who you're getting your information from. You're not going to go to an accountant that's broke to handle your money. You're not going to go to a restaurant or a chef that has no clue how to cook. So I'm going to go to a coach that knows what they're doing and is on the same journey. And I feel like that just reciprocates when people come to me. He's on the same journey. He's going to reciprocate with me, just like you said with you and Casey's relationship.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, man. Well, cool. I think that's a really great place to wrap. I appreciate you coming on, man. And if anybody's interested in looking into hacks, speaking with you, where can they find you?
Go to my Instagram, link in bio, hybridathletex.com if you want to apply to work with me. But hey, shoot me a message. Not even about training, not even about coaching. Just connect with me on Instagram at Blake Jakes. And yeah, post stories there every day. And yeah, give me a follow, give me a DM. I answer all of them. So yeah.
I love it, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Chase. Talk to you later.